Namaste and welcome to the session on Introduction to Cybercrimes. This would give you a general overview on the evolving landscape of digital threats and financial cyber frauds in India. So, in this session, we would try to understand the various cybercrimes. How do we define a cybercrime? What are the legal frameworks and classification systems of cybercrime? And what is the current state of cybercrimes in the country? And what are the types of attacks like phishing, malware, etc.? And what do we understand by social engineering? It would generally give you a comprehensive overview of the threat landscape which we face in the country today in terms of various digital crimes which are experienced by the citizens. The state of financial cyber frauds. This is a particularly different kind of cyber crimes. If we try to understand cyber crimes into two different aspects, one is the financial frauds, the other one is the non-financial cyber crimes. Non-financial cyber crimes can be related to sexually explicit content, pornography, then the other kinds of exploitations which are seen online. And when we talk about financial cyber frauds, this is majorly to do with something where people are subjected to social engineering kind of techniques and they are made to part away with their money. Major chunk of the cyber crimes which we see in the country are financial cyber frauds, as per the estimates of the Ministry of Home Affairs. And the attack levels on sophistications are increasing on a day-to-day basis. There are multi-layer schemes which are run by threat actors, which result in technical exploits as well as organized crime networks are also involved in such kind of attacks. But if you try to understand why cybercrime is increasing in the country in the last 3-4 years, if we see, the major reasons can be attributed to the digital transformation, growing internet population, sophisticated tools, and financial incentives which are there in the country. It is not one factor which has resulted in these issues, but it is a convergence of all these factors. The rapid adoption of the digital devices and the online transactions and online services all across the country, across all governance structures, has resulted in expanding the threat landscape. Thereby, millions of people are subjected to the vulnerability and the criminal acts of the threat actors. Internet population is the number of people who are joining internet, and India is one of the fastest growing internet population in the world. With the mobile penetration also has resulted in a huge number of people using smartphones. There are sophisticated tools used by the attackers when they resort into such kind of attacks, both ranging from psychological attacks like social engineering attacks to very sophisticated technical attacks. And there is a relatively high profit potential with low risk of prosecution. I say low risk of prosecution is because there are several loopholes and several gap areas in terms of legislations, which we'll try to understand in coming topics. So, if we try to understand what is a cybercrime, cybercrime per se is not defined under any law or any particular legislation in the country. But we try to understand cybercrime from a broader perspective, where we see a cybercrime is an act wherein a computer is used as a tool or a target or a place, is a space. It's an online space where a criminal activity is seen using a computer, or a computer itself is a target, or using an online cyberspace as a ecosystem. The incidental use of commission of crime is a computer in this. Cyberspace is used, and there are electronic document violations. So this is a broad definition, but per se it is not defined under any law. So what are the legal frameworks which define cybercrimes or which try to deal with cybercrime in the country? Are the Information Technology Act, primarily, which is a legislation which is legislated to enable e-commerce transactions, comprehensively amended in the year 2008 to bring in certain other offenses into the part of it. Then we have the IPC and now the BNS and the other special local laws, which are state specific and the domain specific, which deal with the cyber crimes. All put together, they comprehensively try to tackle the issue of the cyber crimes in the country currently. We do not have a particular legislation which exclusively deals with cybercrime. It's in making by the government of India, and hopefully it should come out soon. So if we try to classify cyber crimes into three different broad categories, one is a type of crime which is faced by individuals, wherein an individual is a victim subjected to like harassment, stalking, online threats, child pornography, theft of identities, then sextortion, privacy-related issues. These are targeting an individuals. Now, there are certain other type of crimes which are against an organizations like unauthorized access, hacking into data, then corporate data theft, espionage, IP violations, intellectual property violations, then ransomware attacks and business email compromise is a major kind of things which we see against organizations. When we talk about society at large, these are more society, more larger perspective in nature, like cyber terrorism, financial fraud schemes when run on larger scale, human trafficking, which happens online, sale of illegal items like drugs, passports, weapons, etc., which happen over darknet, and other gambling operations which are banned in India. These are just broad categories to help understand, but it is not a hard and fast categorization which is there. But the law enforcement agencies try to categorize them into this aspect. We'll try to understand a few of them as in this session, just to have an understanding. Now, credential theft is the most basic one, wherein the threat actor will try to steal your personal identity, which can be a digital identity, and how to like passwords, usernames, etc. These are the things which are stolen in credential thefts. One of the major ways in which credential theft happens is through social engineering. Social engineering is a broad term wherein the human vulnerability is exploited, and it's more psychological than anything technical to do with this. It's a general technique which psychologists used, and attackers manipulate the victims by trying to penetrate their general defense mechanisms which any person would have. If I normally ask you, give me your password, you wouldn't give your password. But if I try to create a scenario wherein I gain your trust, and then I make you part away with your password or an OTP. That is where I create an emergency, exploit your emotion or fear or a curiosity, and I try to build trust and try to create a situation where you yourself will give me the password or the OTPs, etc. And since human beings are the weakest link in any security system, this is the most easiest way of commission of a credential theft. The phishing is one of the type of credential theft. We do phishing. Phishing, as the name suggests and also means, is like something to do like a fish, where I put in a bait and I catch the fish in a normal fishing sense. So, in this kind of a phishing attacks, using social engineering techniques, we try to obtain the credentials. There are various ways of phishings which can happen through an email. These are just modes of commission of phishing. One is an email phishing, wherein I send emails to thousands of people impersonating someone as a bank or as an income tax authority or somebody and trying to make you respond to that email and somehow make you share your credentials. Spear phishing is more targeted and more specific, wherein I target a particular individual or an organization which is of high credibility, like a CEO of a company. I would like to take his credentials. Further, from there, I can do whatever I want to do. Whaling is like a high profile executive, like a high ranking official in government or a high ranking management executive in a private company. He is often targeted with fake legal orders or an executive level business concern. Wishing is a way of doing it through voice calls, and smishing is way of doing through SMSs. Man in the middle attack is also a little sophisticated in technology. Generally, social engineering is much simple. Man in the middle attack requires a little of technical knowledge, wherein I have the threat actor will try to intercept the communication between two parties and try to understand what is going on. It is something like eavesdropping between the traffic communication. It can happen by way of Wi-Fi eavesdropping, wherein I can set up a rogue Wi-Fi hotspot and then compromise the legitimate communication which is happening, thereby route the transaction or the communication through me. I can hijack the session or I can strip down the SSL and make it into HTTP instead of a secured communication. So that is about credential thefts using these ways. The other ways of doing these kind of issues is through malicious software, which we in normal language call as malware. Malware is of various ways based on the type of the functionality of the malware. We generally call them on different names, but it's the most pervasive and most dangerous threats. These programs are specifically designed for a particular purpose. It can be to infiltrate, to watch, to exfiltrate your data, to cause damage, to stop something from acting. So it depends on what I design the application to function as. So that is the nature of the malware, and these are widely seen. As we all know, virus is the common and the most common thing which is observed in the computer networks. Virus is self-replicating, as the name would suggest. It requires an human action or an activation wherein it can corrupt. Like I can double click an executable file, wherein then it starts replicating and then corrupt your entire system. It self-replicates. Worm, as the name suggests, it's a little different from virus, where apart from self-replicating, it also propagates. That is, if one computer is affected and it's connected to another computer through a network, then the worm can even propagate to the other particular computer, thereby affecting both the computers. So virus will not propagate, worm will propagate. Combined together, if I write a program, it can be both a virus as well as a worm. So that is a malware. A logic bomb is something which lies dormant and a particular time and action, it gets activated. Like on a particular date, if I want to attack a particular website, I can send a malware to activate on a particular day, like an Independence Day. On the day of Independence Day, I can attack your website, and until then, it will remain dormant, it won't act. So there are advanced types of malwares also which are available, like keyloggers, which record all the keystrokes so that I can capture your passwords, credit card numbers, etc. Ransomwares are those kind of malwares which lock your applications, so which lock your data and encrypt them into a particular unreadable format. And then the threat actor will try to demand or do something or affect your system so that a payment or something ransom is sought out. The commonest, the most famous, infamous one which was seen was in the Ames attack, where ransomware was demanded. A Trojan is something which looks like a genuine software, which masquerades as a genuine software. But as the name suggests, from behind it is completely different. The functionality is completely different. And quite often the user is not aware of its actual usage. The other two kinds are surveillance and advertising kind of nature of malwares, a spyware and an adware. Spyware is a software which is commonly used to understand the habits. Like I can embed a spyware in a common application. If you're using a browser, I can embed a spyware in the browser and try to understand what do you browse, how do you browse, and try to collect your personal information so that I know what you do. Adware is those kind of advertisements which keep popping up on the banner advertisements on the browsers which we see, which tend to slow down your systems or compromise your privacy. These are less harmful types, but again, spyware is a little dangerous where if I combine it with a worm or a malware, then I'll know what you're doing, and then I can design my malware accordingly and then try to attack you. The other kinds of attacks which are commonly seen are denial of service and distributed denial of service. Basically, these are those kind of attacks wherein I flood your traffic. For example, if you're a weather service server, I tend to give you so many sync requests and then your server will crash down. So these are common things which are seen in financial networks and financial institutions wherein online banking systems, the credit card servers are attacked using DOS attacks, wherein a single source, DOS is a single source and a distributed DOS is a multiple compromised systems will tend to send requests to a particular server. By using a distributed DOS attack, it's a more sophisticated, wherein multiple systems are compromised and there are umpteen number of requests from into the server. This results in downtime of the application or the software. Wherein, for example, if I'm launching a scheme of a government and I need to ensure the application is running and people need to submit their forms, like for example, an examination application or an online examination. And if somebody tries to use it distributed DOS attack onto the server, the entire examination is compromised and the examination doesn't happen. So these are those kind of common things which are seen. Then we'll try to understand the common email related crimes. These are common email type of crimes. Phishing is again, which we have just discussed. Any emails which come in the form of deceptive emails which come through seeking your credentials or trying to request some kind of information is phishing. And spoofing is where I change the sender's address and I try to show it as genuine, like it is coming from a bank or a particular authorized agency. Business email compromise is the commonest form of issue which is seen in the industries, wherein I tend to compromise the business email and try to send it to a client, wherein the client is made to pay to me instead of the actual people involved, or I tend to raise a fake invoices. These are common kind of threats which are seen in industries. Email bombing, I can overwhelm your inboxes, thereby making your inbox full, and your storage is also completed. Spamming and email bombing are something similar, but spamming is unsolicited, which I'm not asking for. It may contain scams, it may contain malware, it can contain phishing mails. So these are some kind of common email related crimes which are seen. So user awareness and training is very, very essential, and also the email trust and the reputation scores and the filtering systems are very essential to ensure that email ecosystem is properly maintained. Social media crimes are the of late have become a major issue, which we are seeing nowadays on all social media platforms, be it Instagram or Meta or any other platforms. These are the common kind of things which are seen. Impersonated and fake profiles. Again, I can impersonate as somebody, get in touch with you. It can be for the reason of phishing. It can be for the reason of duping you to pay money or something. So these are commonly seen on marital portals also. Then spreading fake messages, misinformation, disinformation. These are most serious issues where false news is spread and false to influence public opinion. Primarily was has come to fame during the Cambridge Analytica issue in USA, and of late has also been very very active and been a contentious issue even in India and in many developing countries. Bullying defamation is of major issue when it comes to teenage and youngsters in those areas who get intimidated because of false information. And sextortion is where I tend to blackmail a particular person, wherein I have an intimate images, or I'm even morph the image and then try to create a fear in them and then make them pay me ransoms. Radicalization is a little serious issue which is seen where a propaganda is particular spread in a particular group, and then extremist group exploit social media to spread their ideologies and also result in echo chambers. Online frauds, these are something similar to social media, but not happening exclusively on social media. But these are also have dedicated websites wherein the fraudster can create his own website and then result in online kind of frauds. Job frauds are commonly seen where fake employment advertisements are put up. People are made to share their information, resume, phone number, etc., and that's how I get your personal information from where I can carry out a particular fraud subsequently. Admission frauds, you are made to pay money and get with the offer to get admitted into prestigious institutions, especially outside, and people tend to pay for it. Insurance frauds, matrimonial frauds, these are all commonly seen kind of frauds. The main issue, what is seen is they request for an advance payment, and there is an unrealistic kind of a promise or a guarantee. And this advance payment is again and asked on various pretexts, like my this thing is stuck or my courier is stuck or whatever be the reason. So these are things which need to be kept in mind whenever we are dealing with online frauds. Money mules is a major issue. Any cybercrime nowadays which is seen in any nature which we have just discussed, be it a malware or be it an online social media kind of issue or be it a phishing issue, the money which is obtained through these frauds is routed through what we call as money mules. Money mules are those accounts, bank accounts, or those individuals who just carry this money from one to the other place in the banking ecosystem. That is, knowingly or unknowingly, you become party to this issue, and the money comes to your account, and you tend to forward it on some pretext or the other. Most of the times, what we have seen in money mules are people who are not aware that they are being used as money mules. The mule himself is taken as an employee, giving a pretext saying that you are working for my company and this is the payment which you are receiving for some job advertisement or a rating kind of a scheme. You do some rating on Google or you do some rating on some website and you're paid 100 rupees. But the actual 100 rupees is coming from a fraud which is happening somewhere else, and that money is routed through you. And once you get 100 rupees, you are made to invest something somewhere, and that investment also goes to another mule. So they are, it's a kind of layering effect which has resulted, and then the money flows through thousands of accounts. And because of this, the tracking of money is very, very, very difficult. So the basic issue, these are the basic cyber frauds which we have just discussed. And the main thing is to be vigilant and to be informed and to remain secure in the digital world. Knowledge and information is the most essential one. We need to know ourselves and also we need to tell our people around us, family, friends, and everyone. And in case of any kind of cyber fraud, which involves a financial fraud, 1930 is the national helpline, which is the number which everybody should be aware of. And in case of any cyber crime, it can be cyber fraud or it can be a common cyber crime also. Cybercrime.gov.in is a website wherein a person can give a complaint online, which is then forwarded to the concerned police station and necessary action can be taken. Thank you so much.